Well, y'all may be asking right about now, where has this lad been for the past 3 months? He managed to somehow look like an even more depressed Simo. Well, my only answer to that is yes. So hey, welcome back guys. I am back with another video. As you can tell, I have been gone for like 3 months, and I have been watching and answering comments as I saw them come up. But now that I'm done with school, and all my million projects that I had to do, I got braces in the meantime. I grew a beard again. We had a lot happen, bros. Without the excuses, let's get on to what we're actually going to go. So today we're going to be doing a Swordsoul deck discussion. This is one of my new favorite decks that came out like last month or something. And I honestly love the archetype itself. The artwork is so beautiful. My friends and I have just been loving the archetype and its strategy, and I find the deck really fun, even though some people are like, oh, it's a helmet deck. Okay, yeah, everything is a helmet deck after a while. It is a really good deck to learn as a beginner, and it's a very strong deck. So I want to show you multiple deck lists of different strategies I have come up with for Swordsoul. I think I'm going to have 3 strategies for you today. I'm going to give you 3 deck lists, and I'm going to just go over some sample combos that the deck does. But before all of that, I'm going to go on a card-by-card discussion to give you the most important things about it if you don't know what the cards do. If you do know what the cards do, feel free to skip that part. We will and go straight to the deck profile and the combos that I'm going to show you. These are pretty standard combos that you can do in any of these builds. And so I made sure to keep it mostly Swordsoul related. But yeah, without further ado, let's get on to it. All right, guys. So Swordsoul, first off, is a worm archetype consisting of 3 main deck monsters. Really 4, but the 4th one is kind of like that cousin nobody likes because it's just a horrible, horrible thing. Anyways, the deck relies on summoning tokens that are also tuners off their effects, and basically 1-card synchro summoning. Well, more like 2-card, but close enough. These monsters paired with some powerful generic synchros and disruptions are pretty powerful, to be honest. Like, it's crazy how 1-card extra deck monsters are really good. First off, we'll get on with the monsters with their token summoning effect. Moye, unsummon when you can reveal a worm or Swordsoul monster, card really actually, to special summon a token, and this is a trigger effect, so it only happens on the summon of him, so be careful. Tai, you can summon him, then you can activate his effect and banish a worm or Swordsoul card in your grave, special summon a token, and you can do this anytime during the main phase. He isn't a trigger effect. Don't forget that. The nice thing about it is he can start going second combos that essentially break your opponent's entire board because of things like Bashia and other synchros, which is really nice. Longwan. Basically, you can discard a worm or Swordsoul card from your hand and special summon himself and a token if you wish. He activates in the hand, so they can't really prevent the token summon with things like Imperm, which would be an easy out for for Tai and Moye. So that's really nice, and he's a free Synchro 10, which is kind of broken in its own right. Now for the other effects that they have. Moye lets you draw a card. Tai acts like a Foolish Burial for Swordsoul and Worm cards, and then Longwan burns your opponent for 1200. So that's all effects that happen in chain when they're used as a synchro summon. The caveat to this is if they do something like negating the summon with Solemn Strike, this doesn't happen because the summon didn't happen. So just remember that, guys. As for the last relevant monster to this archetype, we have Ecclesia. She basically has a Cyber Dragon-like effect, which special summons itself when your opponent has more monsters than you, but also has a quick effect like Sky Striker Ace Ray, where it tributes itself or costs to special summon another monster, specifically a Swordsoul monster, or Albaz if you're playing that, I guess. those two people right now. And you can summon them from hand or deck. She also recurs herself from the graveyard at the end phase if you had sent a fusion there. So if you're playing Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, he sent to the graveyard off of his own effect. You can recur Ecclesia, which is really nice. Alright, so we have a bunch of spell and trap cards that are good, that are in this archetype, but I'm just going to go over the important ones that are actually used consistently. So Swordsoul Emergence. This is basically Rhoda for the deck. If you have a synchro on your field, you can search any worm in the game, which is kind of bonkers if you think about it. Sacred Summit. This is basically Monster Reborn. Same deal as Emergence, though. If you have a synchro, you can summon any worm in your graveyard. Swordsoul Blackout is our good trap. If you remember things like Icarus Attack or even Dogmatic Punishment and what they do, it's basically that for worms. You target a worm you control and 2 cards your opponent controls, destroy them, and it's got some funny synergy in a lot of hybrid decks like Zephyro, where you have Zephyr who gets a search off being destroyed, or even in its own archetype with Archduke Chen Ying, who protects himself from destruction. So just a little fun niche thing. Also, don't forget the spells when banished level modulate a monster on your field by plus or minus 1, and the traps when banished special summon a token for you. So those are just like small niche things to remember, but also very useful. As for all the synchro monsters, if you don't know all the possible synchro monsters that you can play in this, there's a lot. I suggest looking into a bunch of generic synchro 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, even 6s through 12s, depending on the strategy you're playing, just to see what is useful for you. I'm just going to go over the generic Swordsoul ones because they're the important ones for this video and for you. So first up is Chichao. On summon, he gets you any Swordsoul from your deck to your hand, or banishes it from the deck, which is useful sometimes when you're trying to banish Blackout, for example. His other effect is banishing a worm or Swordsoul from your graveyard, and basically negating another monster's effect on the field, but you can only use either one of these effects once per turn. If you use one of them, you can't use the other, and that's kind of troubling on the first turn he's summoned, but understandable because he'd be broken. Now, Chen Ying, or what like my friends like to call Archduke, because he's an absolute beast and a king to us. This guy is such a tank. So first, his first effect is while he's on the field and active, he gains 100 attack and defense for each banished card. It doesn't matter whose banished pile it is. So if your opponent has 10 and you have 4, he gains 1400, while all opponents' monsters lose the same amount. So it's really good for protecting from dying from battle, makes OTKs very easy. His second effect, which prevents him from destruction, sort of like if Destroy Phoenix Enforcer would try to target him to die, he can banish 1 card from the graveyard instead to protect himself. And this is not a once per turn effect, so if you have 10 cards in your graveyard and they tried 10 times to destroy it by a card effect because they're dumb and did not do it by battle, well, guess what? You can do it 10 times. And finally, if any card is banished, you can activate his last effect and banish a card on your opponent's field and graveyard simultaneously, which will 1, boost him even more, 2, get rid of 2 really good cards on your opponent's field, because this is not a targeting effect. That's why this guy is an absolute sexy beast. But yeah, that'll do it for the card lineup. We'll go on to the deck profile next. Alright, so if you can't see, this is my first deck profile. This is going to be Swordsoul featuring Destroy Phoenix Enforcer and the Artifact Engine. This is a pretty relatively standard build, in my opinion, aside from the Artifact Engine, which I teched in just to test it out. It works pretty well against some decks, while other decks it's just completely garbage and bricks you. Honestly, I'd think about taking out the Artifact Engine. The only nice thing about it is that if you do have access to Destroy Phoenix Enforcer and you open up a Scythe, you can still trigger the Scythe by popping it with Enforcer during their turn, which is really nice to sort of be able to do with the deck. Honestly, it's pretty consistent overall. I think its power level is overly weak in comparison to a lot of hybrid builds, but that's how it is when you have to play pure builds in general. So next up we've got True Draco Swordsoul. This is a blind second sort of build. Obviously you can change things a little more than what I have at the moment, but this is what I have currently. So as you can see, it's going to focus on drawing into your engine, breaking boards with the True Draco cards, and synchro summoning and getting Bashia and Taye to resolve, so that you can basically just full-on OTK or board break if you use Dark Ruler no more. Things I'd consider to do is adding more Spell and Trap Hate if you don't think the Heritage and Disciples is enough, as well as other things like Triple Taxic Talents, so that you can draw more off of things. Overall, it's pretty solid, and it'll win more than half of your games. I know for sure it'll win around 70%, I think, which is pretty good if you pilot the deck correctly. Obviously, this is still a work in progress. I still am working with this deck today, but it can put up some pretty nasty boards right after breaking your opponents, which is a nice little highlight. Right, guys, so this is the final deck list that I'm going to be showing you. Obviously, this is also kind of a work in progress in my opinion, but this is what I've got so far. If you don't know, I am a very avid Zephyr player. I play pure Zephyr from time to constantly, actually, lately. But it has nice synergy with this deck, and that is namely because of Zephyr Niu. So the nice thing about this deck is we need a normal summon on the most part. So instead of using things like Satellar Knight Deneb, like you would in the pure build, we use Moye instead, and this gets us 1-card synchros. The nice thing is Niu is the level 6, so if you wanted to use one of the tokens you summon off of Moye with Niu, you can synchro 10 pretty easily, and you can even do things like destroy Phoenix Enforcer, which I use in this build as well. The nice thing is Swordsoul Emergence allows you to condense your Zephyr engine a lot, because you can search one of your higher low scales with Emergence if you have Moye already. And you can also use Oracle of Zephyr if you synchro summoned using your Zephyr cards to basically cheat out searching Croco Dragon and then searching for things like Moye, Taye, Longyon before you even normal summon. And it's honestly really nice. The nice thing is Gamma in this build comes in handy for Emergence, Providence, Fusion Destiny even, to just allow you to get a free Synchro 8 as well. And it's honestly really nice. The only thing I really dislike about this is that you can basically brick on traps and the Destiny Hero / Gamma driver. So it's kind of rough. But you can always remove the Phoenix Enforcer. That's just an extra package anyways, and replace it with more consistency cards. But yeah, that's the deck profile. Alright, so this is the first combo. This is going to be a going second combo just to show you how to break boards, really. So we're going to start off with two things. Emergence plus access to Longwan. So we're going to use Emergence, search Taye. Taye is going to be normal summoned, banishing the Emergence. Then we're going to summon a token. We're not going to use Emergence effect. We're going to Synchro 8 into Bashia. We're going to chain 1 Bashia, chain 2 Taye. At this point, Taye is going to mill Moye, and then Bashia is going to shuffle those two monsters on the field into the deck, which I can't do physically right now, but you know what I mean. Bashia is then going to trigger itself. Note, if you have another card on your field, you're able to pop that instead and keep the Bashia for extra damage, but no big deal either way. We're going to summon Moye, activate its effect, revealing the Longyon, and summon another token. We're going to then Synchro 8 into Chi-Chao. Chi-Chao 1, Moye 2. That way we chain block on the Ash if needed. And we're going to get a draw. So coincidentally, we get Sacred Summit here. which is a really good card. If you already opened it, you don't need to search it, but if you do, that's always good. I prefer, so in this combo, if you have Sacred Summit, that's great. If you would search it off of Chichao if you didn't, and anyways, and then you'd hope you had another Swordsoul target for the Longyan. But basically, you want Longyan and Summit in hand automatically, if you can. Longyan is going to activate, pitching whatever is extra, summoning a token in itself. We're going to synchro 10. You can do two different things here. You can either go into Chen Ying or you can go into Baron. I prefer Chen Ying, Archduke over anything. So like we go for him anyways. We're going to use Longyan, burn for the opponent for 1200, and then we're going to use Summit, which will then revive the Basha that we killed, since we have other synchros on the field. So the nice thing about this is Basha can trigger Archduke right now if we really wanted to, if your opponent had more cards on the field and in their graveyard. Or if you had an extra card, you can always pop that to summon some other small monster for extra damage. Anyways, at this point, this is more than 8,000 damage, or actually, in their case, 6,800, which is what we needed for a game because they were minus 1,200 already. Alright, for combo number 2, we've got Ecclesia and Swordsoul Emergence. In this case, this is going to be a going first combo, and Ecclesia can really just be Moye. I just wanted to show her because she's a very useful card, and she's also equivalent to Moye at this point. So we're going to normal use her effect to special summon Moye. Moye is going to reveal Emergence, summon a token. Then we're going to do the same thing. Chen Ying 1, Moye 2, so we get a draw. The draw doesn't matter in this case, I made sure of that. And Chichao is going to add Longyan. Longyan is going to then activate and pitch Emergence, summon itself, and a token, and then we are going to go into Baron. We go into Baron in this case because we don't particularly know what your opponent's playing unless they revealed it already. Also, it's ever so slightly safer at this point with extension plays, but you can do Archduke instead. It doesn't matter. And I'm gonna show, and Longyan is gonna burn for 1,200. I'm just gonna show you can summon Archduke. You can summon Ready Rose if you're going second for whatever reason, and they have a big graveyard like PK. Will pretty much lose to this card. The final combo is going to be the standard combo, but with Fusion Destiny. This is going to be going second somewhat combo, but this can also be going first because we can just save it for your opponent's turn. The thing I'm about to show you. So we're going to go into the standard Moye combo, summon Chichao 1, Moye 2, same thing. We top deck Imperial Order, which is just GG for most decks at this point, and we get access to Longyan. Longyan is going to pitch Tai or whatever other Worm or Swordsoul card you have, and then you're going to summon him. We're going to go into Archduke in this case, burn for 1,200. We're going to then use Fusion Destiny. This is why Destroy Phoenix Enforcer is so good in this deck, because now we can... So say your opponent had some monsters on the field, we can use Destroy Phoenix Enforcer, pop something on the Archduke and whatever they have. Archduke is going to activate to protect itself, and then we're going to trigger Archduke to banish 2 more cards, and that would be over 8k for a game if you were going second, but also just to be super heavy disruption going first, especially if you had Imperial Order to add on top of this. It's really hard to break this board. But yeah, that's going to do it for the replays. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please do make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully I'll be making a bunch more videos in the near future, and I hope to see you guys soon. So, peace. Hey guys, I just wanted to say one last thing. If you want to check out one of my more popular videos, that would be the video on the left. And if you want to check out one of my more recent videos, that video will be on the right. I will see you guys soon. Peace.